What's up YouTube, and welcome back to another Geeky Gecko Creations video. What would make one baby look like this and another baby look like this? Stick around in this video to find out. Alright, so the bold stripe genetic in leopard geckos is something called a line-bred trait. Line-bred traits are often thought of as tangerine, black knight, traits that take many generations of outcrossing and recrossing back together of similar bloodlines and similar trait lines to create the desired effect. Bold stripe is a trait that is very indicative of its name, which means to make two bold stripes going down the back of the leopard gecko. Fire bold is an offshoot project of that, infusing tangerine DNA into the bold stripe project to try to get an orange gecko with black stripes. But the original bold stripe goes to the high yellow hyperxanthic bold stripe line. This is the OG when it comes to stripes, and it's kind of like the cream of the crop, the creme de la creme when talking about bold stripe projects right now. This is literally one of my favorite leopard geckos in my collection, and it is a bold stripe hyperxanthic Halloween mask bandit Tremper albino. And it even has red stripes going down the middle of the back right there. Now, red stripes actually aren't red, despite their name, but they're usually orange or bright orange. Now, this guy is not a tangerine, but the fact that he shows so much orange coloration for only being in a lineage of yellow geckos, wow, absolutely amazing. So what are we doing this year? We're breeding him to all kinds of fire bolds, tangerine bold stripes, regular bold stripes, and creating a whole bunch of cool stuff. Halloween mask is when the animals have a really unique mask-like figure on their head, which can sometimes be seen upside down or right side up, depending which way you're considering. And bandit is that dark black banding over the nose, but because this is an albino, it's more of that champagne lavender. So why am I showing this guy? Because he is one of the thickest bold stripes that we have. So if you look at those lavender lines, they basically go from the very middle of his lateral sides right here all the way to the top dorsal. So when talking in scientific terms, dorsal is the top. Think of like a dolphin, how they have the fin on the top, and then lateral is the sides. He's albino, so you can see his werewolf gray eyes right there. And he's also possible white and yellow because white and yellow flows heavily in our hyperxanthic bold stripe lines. Now that you know what a bold stripe is, let's take a look at another one that is not albino and not white and yellow. So you can see where the line started when the baby was younger, where those dashes are, and the stripe kept spreading out thicker and thicker and thicker. And bold stripes always end up this way, where the thickness of the stripe often does not stay into adulthood from the side of the gecko to the top of the gecko. But with selective breeding, line breeding, and trait breeding like we're talking about right now, we should be able to get that over time. I have this project called the fill-in project, which means that those areas that are yellow in between the side polka dotted of the stripe and the dorsal top of the line of the stripe, we're looking to fill that in pitch black. Here's another one, a different shade of yellow from the Norman Davis Legacy line, and you can see this one actually has a little bit of broken patches, but you can see the same thing, where the stripe starts, where the stripe finishes, and the fact that there's a gap of that like yellowish, lavenderish pigment right there. So the goal is to fill in that gap all black. Now on the albino that I showed at the beginning of this video, one of the benefits of albinism is that it helps to blend all that in so the stripe actually appears to be one thick stripe. But in reality, if it was not a albino, it would look something like this, but it would have more consistent striping. Now, why am I showing you all of these bold stripes? Because in the ball python world, there is something called acts-like super, ALS. And it basically means that when two genetic traits are allelic and are different genes but align at the same location on the animal's DNA, such as Mojave and Lesser, you create an explosion of a unique animal that is very dominant of a trait. So a lot of people are confused about what bold stripe actually is. Well, picture years and years and years of breeding wolves to wild dogs to other wild dogs, until eventually you get a Chihuahua. And then from a Chihuahua, it's very difficult to go back to the wolf, right? Imagine breeding Chihuahuas until one day they turned into wolves. That's pretty crazy sounding, right? But that's essentially what we've done with leopard geckos. We've bred year after year, generation after generation, decade after decade of striped animals to each other, and now the genetics of that animal is so strong that when you pair an animal like this, which is heavily striped, to an animal like this, which has no stripes in its lineage, you can get a baby like this. So how can this baby come from this mom? How can a non-striped mom produce a striped baby? That's why I'm labeling this video acts like recessive. Because recessive genes are often hidden in the DNA of the gecko and then pop out unexpectedly, or sometimes expectedly, based on the projects that you're working. But this gecko can absolutely produce this gecko with this gecko. And so let me show you a few other examples that might make sense of acts like recessive, meaning that the animal is just so heavily line bred, inbred, trait bred, that the genetics are so strong in it, it's like a Chihuahua trying to go back to a wolf. It's almost impossible, and sometimes you're gonna pop out striped geckos even from a non-striped pairing. I've seen bold stripes so strong with some of our geckos that even two geckos that are not striped produce a striped animal, just because the stripage is so strong in that lineage and goes back to the grandfather's 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 grandfather, and those DNAs pass on to the offspring. And without you realizing it, you got some strong genetics in there, and all it takes is one lucky combo or one planned combo, and you could pop out some striped stuff. So let's take a look at this acts like recessive theme with a couple more geckos. This gecko in my right hand is only 50% tangerine, and this gecko in my left hand is 100% tangerine with pure tangerine lineage, very strong tangerine lineage. Yet look at the comparison of these two. They're almost very close. The reason is because tangerine is similar to that bold striped Chihuahua that I mentioned earlier. With enough years of inbreeding, trait breeding, crossbreeding, line breeding, the tangerine genetic becomes so strong that in some cases, a 50% tangerine can look as nice as 100% tangerine. Those are the ones that you typically want to hold back, by the way, because it's showing that the genetic markers in their DNA is very compatible with the tangerine project. And this little one is about to go on our website, by the way. So we'll see you there, buddy. And one more quick example. This one in my right hand right here is a clutch mate to this one in my left hand. They're both 50% tangerine tornado, and then the other 50% is Max Snow Afghanicus. So they're basically like 25% Afghanicus, 25% Macularis from Max Snow lineage, and then 50% Tangerine Tornado, which is a very heavily line bred, inbred, and trait bred tangerine project slash line. And so look at the way one baby right here inherited much more of an orange tinge and hue to its body than this animal right here. That is the acts like recessive feature, where you would think that both babies would look similar, but in reality, one baby is just inheriting and displaying more of the tangerine genetics than the other baby. Now, this baby in my other hand, even though it's not showing very much tangerine genetics, it could have strong tangerine markers hidden in its DNA. So pairing this animal to a tangerine animal could pop out offspring that are amazing, and in some cases even better than the other one right here. Whoa! And so when you're talking about acts like recessive or acts like dominant type features, you really have to know the lineage and history of those geckos to know what their potential is. We see this all the time in black knight leopard geckos, because black knight leopard geckos is also a line bred, inbred, trait bred trait. And so because of that, you are going to get some babies that resemble very much like the parents, some babies that are a little bit more than the parents, and other babies that resemble nothing like the parents as far as darkness is concerned. And going back to our Chihuahua explanation, basically that means that black knights are going to have a much higher propensity to pass along melanistic or dark DNA because it's been so inbred into that project. So the likelihood of this animal passing on dark genes and genetics is 1,000 times more likely than this animal, which comes from very light, non-melanistic or non-dark bloodlines. Here is one of those firebold TBS or thick bold stripe project geckos that sold recently. This one I do not believe to be a white and yellow, but obviously it is a hyperxanthic, meaning higher and brighter yellow pigment, and you could even see orange in the tail and orange tones in there, which go along with the firebold and TBS project. And so that is how you get animals like this, is that the strength of their bloodlines is so strong, you could even breed this animal to a non-striped animal and potentially, and most likely will produce some full stripes and partial striped animals. Very, very cool. Well, what did you think about this video? Was it a clear explanation of how line-bred traits can act like dominant or recessive traits sometimes? Let me know if there's any clarification in a comment below that you are looking for, and also videos that you would like for us to do. I do have a list of videos that I plan on doing now that I am back to doing videos again more recently, and so I hope to see you guys in every single one of them. Visit our website, geekygeckocreations.com. We're uploading dozens of new geckos every single month, just like this one. Quality geckos for quality price with quality customer service for life. That is our guarantee, and somebody snagged this one for just $200, if you could believe that. So subscribe, turn on that notification bell, because you don't want to miss all the great opportunities that come along with being a follower, a member, and a subscriber of our channel. So follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook as well, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, my friends, stay safe, pursue your reptile passion, and have a geeky gecko great day. Peace! Bye! Selling in the billions each year, Rainbow Mealworms is your one-stop shop for all your insect needs. Their quality feeders and A+ customer service keep me coming back to support the health and growth of all of our animals. Visit them today at rainbowmealworms.net to place your order. I want to take this time to shout out Redline Shipping. They are the #1 fastest growing reptile and animal shipping company in the world right now, and that is for good reason. Use promo code GECKO5 today at checkout for an additional $5 off your shipping label.